This week's edition of TM Travel News. I'm Trevor.
And I'm Mason.
This is the first edition and the first running of the TM Travel News YouTube show where we cover travel-related news in the pandemic era.
On this week's edition of Travel News, some of the headlines we'll be covering are United's new route from Boston to London, Australia's Qantas saying it will resume international flights in October, Lufthansa considering vaccine tourism flights to Moscow, and just things you should know about traveling during spring break.
Our first headline today is United Airlines announces that it will be beginning service from Boston's Logan Airport to London's Heathrow Airport beginning later in 2021. We know that it will be operated by a Boeing 767-300ER, which has 46 Polaris business class seats. This will be the highest proportion of premium seats available on any flight to London. 22 premium plus seats, 43 economy plus seats, and 56 economy seats will be available. Polaris as a seat will boast a premium experience prioritizing relaxation and comfort. Along with being known for some of the best food in the sky, bedding is sourced from Saks Fifth Avenue for the fully lay-flat seats, all with direct aisle access for each Polaris passenger. It is likely that this service will not start until later this year due to the high level of coronavirus in both the United States and the United Kingdom. This will be United's 19th daily flight between the United States and the United Kingdom. The Boston to London market has heated up a lot over the last 2 years. British Airways and Virgin Atlantic are the only two carriers currently operating the service. Before the pandemic, this route was also operated by Delta in partnership with Virgin Atlantic and American Airlines. JetBlue had also announced they would be beginning this service using the new Airbus A321LR aircraft. United is the only the latest carrier to add daily frequencies to this route.
The second headline we will be covering today is Australia's Qantas says it will resume international flights in October of 2021. Earlier this week, the company released its half-year financial results, which also included its plans to restore most of the international routes which had been canceled in March of last year. Not only will Qantas be restoring international travel, but one of its sister companies will be as well. However, Qantas will only be bringing back 22 of its 25 international routes, including London and the United States, and Jetstar will be resuming all 13 of its international routes. Even though Qantas is restoring their routes, they're taking a much more precautionary approach when resuming flights. There will be a lot less planes flying on each route, and there will be much less passengers allowed on each flight. A representative from Qantas says that the airline is looking into several digital health passes, aka vaccine passports, that will verify whether a passenger has been vaccinated. Some countries are allowing vaccinated travelers to bypass quarantining upon travel, which is a crucial first step to slowly reopening global tourism.
Today is Lufthansa is considering vaccine tourism flights to Moscow as Germany faces the vaccine shortage. Even though Germany is a large producer of pharmaceutical products and an industry leader, they are having a large shortage, such as other countries are right now. Lufthansa, the country's flag airline, is considering health tourism flights to Moscow to give its citizens a larger access to the vaccine. Upon arrival into Moscow, they would receive the vaccine and then travel right back to Germany without even leaving the airport. The Russian vaccine also requires 2 doses, meaning passengers would have to make this trip twice, and the price is said to be 1,000 euros or about $1,200 US.
Another headline that we'll be covering today is things that you need to know about traveling during spring break. Some airlines such as Southwest, Spirit, and Frontier are offering very cheap tickets for the upcoming spring break. Southwest as low as $29 one way, and Spirit as low as $62 round trip. However, large cities such as Las Vegas and Los Angeles have announced that they will be scaling back the reopening of many public and party pools, nightclubs, and they've been having limited access to many resorts, and so they're having less people at each of the resorts. Uh, the amount of winter storms that are flooding the country currently also has many Americans wanting to travel, and the next best time is during spring break. There has been a recent uptick in the amount of travel. Based on President's Day weekend, the passenger counts topped 1 million and averaged 900,000 throughout the entirety of the weekend. And final headline goes out to those planning to travel by air for spring break and some things that you should keep in mind. One of the first things that you should keep in mind is making sure that you read the fine print on airline pandemic travel waivers, just to make sure there's nothing on there that can ruin your spring break trip. One of the next things is making sure that if you have travel credit from canceled trips last year, that you're still eligible to use them. A lot of airlines are saying that you may not be able to use your credit from last year or it is expired. Once you have your flight, you should keep checking in on it to make sure that it hasn't been changed or canceled. And if it has, you need to be able to build some flexibility into your travel plans. So just be flexible. The next thing is if you do have to cancel your flight due to COVID-19 concerns or any concerns at all, you may not be able to get a refund. A lot of airlines are not offering refunds to people who cancel their flights. Currently, Delta Airlines is the only airline that is still limiting the number of seats on sale in economy class. Southwest recently stopped limiting the amount of passengers on their planes. The next thing is make sure to check the quarantine requirements for all your travel destinations. Places like Hawaii have a mandatory 2-week coronavirus quarantine where you just have to stay in your hotel or stay inside of someone's house and you're not allowed out. However, within the United States, you won't need a negative COVID-19 test to board a flight, and just an FYI, airlines still aren't serving food or water for free or for sale in economy class.
For listening in on the first edition of TM Travel News for Monday, March 1st. We will see you next week for more travel-related news in the pandemic era.